Unit 1. Historical figures. Wilhelm I, German father of psychology, first lab experimental structuralism. Edward Teacher, English, UK structuralism, student of one, introspection, self-reflection. How does that make you feel? Charles Darwin, the English biologist, genetics, survival of the fittest, evolutionary psychology, monism. William James, American pragmatism. James Lange, emotion theory, functionalism, evolutionary reason for things. Fanboy of Darwin. Mary Hawkins, American denied PhD, BC woman, first female president of APA memory research. Marta Walker, an American, first PhD, animal behavior /observation. John B. Watson, American, father of behaviorism, classical conditioning. Till little Albert Sigmund Freud, Austrian, father of psychoanalysis. Abraham Moscow, Russian, American, humanistic hierarchy of needs, best self and basic needs. Call Rogers, modern psychology, humanistic client-centered therapy. A contemporary psychology, observable measure. W, action of the person, anything someone does and how they react. Mental processes of behavior, situations, perceptions, dreams, thoughts, feelings. Nature, behavior, and mental processes are born / innate. Socrates, Plato, Darwin. Nurture, behavior, and mental processes occur as a result of environment. Aristotle, John Locke. Structuralism, Edward Teacher. Introspection, observation of one's mind to explore elemental structures of the mind. Self-reflection, sensory memory. Introspection, functionalism. William James, how mental processes function with behavior down to earth. Motion, memories, willpower, conscious. Behavioral, how we learn. Observational responses, psychoanalytic behaviors formed from unconscious. Humanistic, importance of current environment and its influence on growth potential. Evolutionary, natural selection of traits. Promotes continuity of genes. Biological behavior, genetics, evolutionary perspective. Neuroscience, brain, nervous system, body chemistry. Brain, W, cognition, cognitive study on mental processes, how we encode, process, store, and retrieve information. Think, perceive, learn, remember, communicate, solve problems. Sociocultural, how we behave and think across certain situations and cultures. Careers in psychology, applied research, practical application, therapy for drugs used in practical situations.
Basic research questions you are curious about. Biological psychology, neuros and body chemistry, ties to behaviors. Industrial / organizational psychologist, business and industry. Improve productivity, develop selection programs. Advertisers, consumer, behavior psychometric psychologist. Metrics / math, measurement of behavior through statistics. Reliable and valid. Culture / fair testing. Human factors psychologist. Psychology and product design, how to misuse products. Experimental psychologist. Laboratory specific studies. Memory, language, animals. Forensic psychology. Criminals. Developmental psychologist. Children, adolescents. Anti-lifespan behavior across lifespan. Counseling, workout problems. Marital / family counseling. Personality psychologist. Study development and characteristics of traits. Clinical psychologist. Diagnose disorders. Testing and interviewing. Therapy, not psychiatrist. They treat drugs. Of social psychologist. Experimental studies, social situations. Conformity, obedience. Leadership, a cognitive psychologist. Perception of things. Neuroscience, mental processes. Language, ability to communicate and process. Cognition, neuroscience. Hindsight bias, tendency to believe. Culture, learning, you knew it all along. Overconfidence, think we know more than we do. Barnum effect, tendency to accept generalizations and apply to self. False consensus effect, overestimate extent to which other beliefs and behaviors of others. Research notes, psychological theories, explanations for behaviors. Summarize, organize, explain theories built on concepts. Purpose, model for understanding human thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Prediction, pattern, not certain. Psychology, probable, natural, log, certainty. Test validity. Student talks in front of class. Evidence, signs of anxiety. Application and how to use practically concepts. Anxiety, heart rate, sweat, stuttering. Measuring standards, unbiased. All HS students. Predictive, does it apply to all HS students? Experimentation is the only way to prove a cause / prediction. Numerical data, cause and effect. Manipulating factors, hold constant factors. Experimental, receive treatment. Control group does not receive independent variable. Manipulated variable studied. Given to experimental group, a dependent variable. Outcome measured can change due to independent variable components. Controlled variable, everything you can control. Standardized procedure, experiments use the same controls and standards. Ability to be replicated. Confounding variable cannot be controlled. Random allocation, conditions and randomly assigned. See if yellow paper has effect on math test. Independent variable, color of paper. Manipulated, a dependent variable. Learning of math outcome. Statistics, descriptive statistics, numerical data used to measure and describe characteristics of a group. Displaying statistics. Histogram, the bar that shows a frequency distribution. Free measures of central tendency, mean, average, medium, middle mode. Most frequently occurring number, range, least to greatest. Z-score, raw score, explained in terms to positive relation to mean in standards. Sampling, where you get your data. Self-selected sampling, people who sign up for something are less likely to drop out. May not represent whole target population. Opportunity sampling, presenting group. Random sampling, best. Unbiased influential statistics, probability of true from a population. Central limit theorem, larger samples equals more normal data. Scatter plots, correlation studies, positive or negative, not good or bad. What direction, one up or one down. Correlation coefficient, relationship between two variables. Correlation does not equal causation. Negative, strong right arrow, normal right arrow. Weak or positive, weak right arrow, normal right arrow. Strong, a statistical significance, how likely a result occurred by chance. Reject the null. Null, no relationship between the two variables. One variable does not affect the other. P-value, probability of no effect or no difference. Operationalized, very specific, standardized, ability to be replicated under the same circumstances. hypothesis prediction of how the independent variable affects the dependent variable and all. Step 1. Population under conditions. Step 2. Relationship between two variables. Psychologists only disprove. Probable science reject the null one variable does affect the other. Cause and effect between independent variable and dependent variable. Disproving something doesn't not work. Or prove something works. Random sampling. Representation of population allows results to be generalized to the population as a whole. Random assignment. Control groups by chance. Minimize difference between two groups. Single blind. Participants uninformed. Subject response bias and placebo effect. Placebo effect. A person's anticipation that an intervention will help. Inert treatment. Athletes given performance drugs. A fake did better. Double blind. Participants and researcher are uninformed. Ethical guidelines. How to conduct an experiment. Informed consent. Participants have to agree to be a part of study. Deception. Researchers may slightly deceive participants to not guess. Purpose of study. Withdrawal. Participants can leave whenever they want with your data. Confidentiality. Identities are protected. Debrief. Participants to inform more studies and results. Surveys. Easily conduct research. Downside. Participants can answer dishonestly. Unit 2. The neuron. Nerve cell. Smallest factor of nervous system. Neuron cell transmits nerve impulses. Cell body / soma contains nucleus. Life support center. Dendrites surround cell body. Send / receive messages. Cell impulses toward cell body. Axon transmission line carries messages away from soma to other neurons. Muscles or glands. Myelin sheath encases neurons. Increases transmission speed. Provides insulation. Terminal branches. Terminal buttons hold neurotransmitters. Glial cells supports neurons learning thinking. Threshold level of stimulation that triggers impulse. Neural impulses. Chemical signals. Minimum threshold. Neuron fires. Action potential. Triggers impulse. Travels down axon. All or nothing. Stimulation does not influence fire. Excitatory. Signals trigger action. Inhibitory. Depresses trigger action. Resting state. Polarized. Slightly negative inside is negative. Positive ions outside. Trying to get in. Axon membrane. Selectively permeable. Allows or denies polarized positive or negative neurons. Pushes messages out. Polarized. Depolarized. Polarized. After action potential. The neuron needs breaks. Refractory period. Neurotransmitters. Messengers that travel across synapse. Binds receptor sites to receiving neuron. Synapse. Axon tip of sending neuron. Dendrite or soma of receiving neuron. Synaptic gap. Binds receptor to receiving neuron. Neuron excites or inhibits. Realm action. Right arrow stimulate. Right arrow release neurons. Say yes / no ruptake. Neurotransmitters reabsorbed by sending neuron. Basic neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine. Learning and memory released. Muscle contracts. Skeletal and motor neurons blocked. Cannot contract. Paralyzed. Dopamine. Movement. Learning. Attention. Emotion. Rewarding feelings. Role in addiction. Linked to schizophrenia. Endorphins. Morphine within pain. Pleasure. OCD. Depression. Moodiness. Norepinephrine. Modulation of mood and arousal. Cocaine. Amphetamines. Elevate synapses. ADHD. Depression. LPP. Serotonin. Regulation of sleep. Wakefulness. Eating. Aggression. Depression. OCD. Gamma-aminobutyric acid. GABA inhibitory transmitter. Decreases chance of neuron firing. Glutamate. Naturally produced amino acid. Excitatory. Helps neurons by sending signals to other cells in CNS. Nervous system. Speedy electrochemical communication network. Central nervous system. Brain and spinal cord. Decision maker. Coordinate incoming sensory messages. Outgoing motor messages. Peripheral nervous system. Sensory and motor neurons. Connects body to CNS. Gather info from senses. Transmits messages from CNS. Autonomic. Controls glands and muscles of internal organs. Sympathetic. Arouses body. Mobilize energy. Accelerates heartbeat. Raise blood pressure and sugar. Slows digestion. Cools body. Parasympathetic. Calms body. Conserves energy. Decelerates heartbeat. Lowers blood pressure. Stimulates digestion. Processes waste. Calms body. Somatic. Controls skeletal muscles. Skeletal nervous system. Sensory neurons. Afferent in nerve fibers. Info from sensory organs to CNS. Motor neurons. Afferent out neurons. Messages from CNS to muscles and glands. Brain and nerves arranged to neural networks. Interprets, stores, sends info to body, muscles, glands, organs of spinal cord. Two-way connection between PNS and brain connects brain to rest of body. Oversees sensory and motor pathway. Reflexes. 1. Sense receptors send signal through spinal cord to sensory neurons. Afferent. 2. Inner neurons in spinal cord receive info from sensory neurons. Send signals back through motor neurons. 3. Motor neurons. Afferent connects muscles to body and direct movement. Endocrine system. Slow communication system. Glands secrete hormones. Moves through bloodstream slower. Nervous system. Neurotransmitters move across synapses. Neural transmission is extremely fast. Growth hormone regulates growth and metabolism. Oxytocin. Uterine contractions of childbirth. Milk secretion promotes pair bonding. Cohesion. Trust. Pituitary gland. Secretions direct endocrine glands to secrete hormones. Cerebrum. Hypothalamus. Pituitary gland. Frontal lobe. Human brain side view. Pons. Temporal lobe. Hypophysis. Modula. Brainstem. Cerebrum. Midbrain. Pons. Medulla oblongata. Cerebellum. Corpus callosum. Brainstem. Spinal cord. Thalamus. Cerebellum. Brainstem. Parietal lobe. Occipital lobe. Encephalon. Thalamus. Hypothalamus. The brain. Medulla. Heartbeat. Breathing. Pons. Sleep. Coordination. Articular formation. Nerve network. Arousal. Sensory. Thalamus. Top of brain stem. Income/outcome. Sensory. Cerebellum. Sensory input. Right arrow. Movement. Balance. Non-verbal learning. Memory. Midbrain. Limbic. Mammalian brain. Middle. Fight. Feed. Flee. Reproductive behavior. Regulates emotions. Limbic system. Amygdala linked to emotion, fear, aggression, 2 tiny B neural clusters, math, anxiety, hyperactivity, right arrow, right amygdala, criminal behavior, right arrow, amygdala dysfunction, hypothalamus, below thalamus, drinking, eating, body temperature, govern endocrine system.